Solidarity's Manifesto launch. I'm Rosemary Byrne, co-convener, and today we welcome you here, and we hope that you're going to get an insight into our policies and a question and answer session later towards the end. Can everybody hear me all right? Because we decided to dispense of the microphone. It was crackling a bit. Any problems? No, everybody can hear me all right. That's fine. Good. Well, we're a wee bit behind, so I'm just going to introduce Kevin Goer, who is going to introduce this with a bit of music appropriate to Solidarity, and hopefully everyone will enjoy that just to get us off the ground. Thanks, Kevin.
Thank you.
Got to sing for an intro.
Thank you very much, and good morning to everyone.
Morning.
This song is dedicated to all the freedom fighters of the past. First I saw the hurting men and the burning crosses. I was a boy back then. The white supremacists, they terrorized me. They lynched my father from a sycamore tree. So yes, I took to violence, lived by the sword. It was my way until I found my Lord. Malcolm X, Geronimo, freedom fighter, Nelson Mandela, and William Wallace, James Connolly, and wherever there's injustice, there will always be me. First they trespassed upon my land. In my defense, I took a stance. Place my people in the reservations. They suffered death and disease and starvation. When every promise the blue coats broke, with 300 braves on leather votes, and Malcolm X, Geronimo, freedom fighter, Nelson Mandela, and William Wallace, James Connolly, and wherever there's injustice, there will always be me. I'm a freedom fighter, don't be confused. Don't call me a terrorist, because I refuse to see my people contained because of their color, their culture, the race. I will not be silenced, will not be contained, whilst people suffer for another man's gain. I drove them from my land with the unjust ways of their king's command. The long shanks he sent for vengeful foes, 10 times our numbers and heavy horse. On Stirling Bridge we routed them, and the river ran red with the blood of men. Malcolm X, Geronimo, freedom fighter, Nelson Mandela, William Wallace, James Connolly, and wherever there's injustice, there will always be me. With my comrades, I rebelled, I was executed in Cummingham jail. But a martyr I became. I lit the fire, I fueled the flame. For a people struggle for liberation, free their country from foreign occupation. Malcolm X, Geronimo, Yasser Arafat, Che Guevara, Nelson Mandela, William Wallace, James Connolly, and wherever there's injustice, there will always be me. You will always find me. There's a song called Independence Day, which is the forefront of solidarity, because one day we will be independent. There's a song written about Independence Day. I wrote this just before the referendum. I'm going to keep singing it and singing it until the day comes. Walking down the road today, still my yes badge on. Stranger, he approached me to tell me I was wrong. Said I was a dreamer, let him have his say. Said yes, my friend, I'm dreaming of Independence Day. When a day I'm dreaming of comes along for sure, we will have a country where all can be assured. A nation of equality, fairness and respect. And the government we vote for is a government we get on Independence Day. Independence Day. Yes, my friend, I'm dreaming of an Independence Day. I'm no anti-English, Northern Irish or Welsh. I'm just dreaming of a country that distributes its wealth down to the people, have opportunity, break the chains, lift themselves from the traps of poverty. Independence Day, Independence Day. Yes, my friend, I'm dreaming of an Independence Day. Well, I know that I am fortunate, I know well off I am, compared to those in Syria or in the Palestine. I'm just dreaming of a country one day we'll be free to determine our own future, our people's destiny on Independence Day. Independence Day. Yes, my friend, I'm dreaming of an Independence Day. Hikalarambala, hikalarambala, hikalaramba. Hikalarambala, hikalarambala, hikalaramba. Standing on the road today, still my yes badge on. Stranger, he approached me to tell me I was wrong. Said I was a dreamer, let him have his say. Said yes, my friend, I'm dreaming of Independence Day.
Come on, Kevin. Yes. Go.
Thanks very much, Kevin. A good start to the morning, I think. I'm going to now ask the candidates who are here at the top of the list, candidates, to introduce themselves, starting with Pat Lee.
Thank you, Rosemary. Yeah, my name is Councillor Pat Lee. I'm the South Lanarkshire Councillor for Clydesdale West Ward 1, and we are asking for your peach ballot vote to maximise the yes vote in Parliament. So if you would like to spread the message, we can maximise the yes vote in Parliament. Thank you.
Good morning, guys. My name's Bill Mayer. I'm the top list candidate for Mid-Scotland and Fife. I'm standing for solidarity because we are a party for the working class. We're a party for those people that capitalism has left behind. We don't triangulate our policies to appeal to the middle class, the wealthy, or to attract billionaire donors. Solidarity's Scottish service tax, first tabled by Tommy Sheridan in 2006, is still in our manifesto. It's a replacement for the council tax, and in true socialist fashion, the Scottish service tax takes nothing from the poor, takes a lot from the rich. It makes the poor richer and the rich poorer.
Good morning, I'm Gail Sheridan and I'm standing for the West of Scotland list.
Good morning, I'm Cheryl Scott, I'm standing in South Scotland. I came to this party because it believes in independence, and it's why I got involved in politics over 2 years ago. We don't have any triggers, we don't have any doubts, but the people of Scotland need their independence, and we need their independence to change society for the better. Thank you.
Good morning once again. My name is Kevin Goa and I'm the first list candidate for Lothians, and we too are looking for the Peach folk. As well as a singer-songwriter, I'm also a community worker who's worked for 25 years in communities and areas of deprivation.
As you'll have noticed, we've got two top of the list candidates missing who are both working today and couldn't be here. Liz Walker from Highlands and Islands and James Irvin Lewis from the North East region. So their apologies, both tied up with work. Before I get Tommy to introduce the manifesto, I would like to just do something today, because this is a special day today. Most of you will be aware. This is International Workers' Memorial Day today, and it's good to remember workers who died in work accidents over the years, and it's great that the trade unions promote this about health and safety at work, and they use this day to commemorate those people that we have lost over the years, and also to remember to look after our comrades at work as well. So what I'd like to do is ask you to stand up and have a minute's silence in memory of people who have passed away at work.
Could invite the press to stand up as well, please.
Thanks very much, brothers and sisters. Hopefully the press will have at least had a different manifesto launch to attend today than some of the other more humdrum manifesto launches that they've had to attend over these recent weeks. We have a manifesto here which is radical, which is visionary, which is socialist to the core, which calls for the redistribution of wealth and power from the top 1% to the 99% of society who unfortunately are often ignored and left aside by capitalism. Solidarity is an unashamed socialist party. We believe in the fundamental redistribution of wealth and power, but we also believe that the road to a socialist Scotland, a socialist Europe, a socialist world, the road to that journey is through independence for Scotland. Independence for Scotland and withdrawal from the bosses and fundamentally undemocratic and anti-socialist European Union. We, in this manifesto, set out 8 priority bills. 8 priority bills that Solidarity MSPs will present in the Scottish Parliament if elected next Thursday. And we make the point here. Solidarity asks the people of Scotland to use both your votes for independence. Both your votes for independence. We're asking Solidarity members to cast a vote for whatever party on the constituency section best reflects the demand for independence. We're not asking for the constituency vote. We're only asking for the list vote, the second vote, the peach ballot paper vote. And we believe that this election, in truth, is about the battle for the second vote. Because the SNP will rump this election. They will rump this election based on the constituency vote alone. The SNP will be returned to Holyrood with a minimum of 68, in all likelihood, all 73 constituencies. That's the reality of how far the unionist parties have fallen in the estimation of ordinary working class men and women across Scotland. The SNP will form a majority government after next Thursday based on the constituency vote alone. Our appeal, therefore, is not just to those who are SNP supporters, but to those who have independence in their heart. For those who want to maximise the independence number of MSPs elected and minimise the number of unionists elected. That's the appeal we make at this manifesto launch today. Because all of the opinion polls show that despite the fact that the SNP will get upwards of 45% of the second vote, the reality is the maximum number of seats that they'll ever get in the list is 3. 3 for 45% of the vote. In no other way, shape or form can that be described as anything other than a wasted vote. The truth is, in 6 of the 8 regions across Scotland, a second vote for SNP is wasted because 90% of those votes cast won't be counted. Won't be counted. Because the SNP will win all of the 9 constituencies. And because of the D'Hondt electoral formula, that means their second votes will be divided by 10. That means 90% of those votes won't count. Our appeal, therefore, and we understand the SNP are in a cleft stick here. They can't exactly say, we don't want both your votes, because then the media would accuse them of arrogance, say that they think they've got it in the bag. So we understand why they still have to say they're looking for both votes. But those of independent mind and independent thought within the Yes family, we ask you to look at the voting system and to declare loud and proud that you're using your second vote not to help the unionist parties, but to electorally punish the unionist parties. That's what you have to do. That's what you have to use your second vote for. And that's why we ask you to give Solidarity your second vote in order that we can take the demands that are contained within this manifesto into the Holyrood Parliament. And the first bill that will be presented in the Holyrood Parliament by elected Solidarity MSPs will be the Indie Ref 2 bill. That's the first bill that will be presented. Within 3 months of being elected in 1999 to the first Holyrood Parliament, I introduced a bill to abolish pindons and warrant sales, and within a year managed to persuade the Scottish Parliament to abolish the barbaric practice of pindons and warrant sales. Brothers and sisters, we know what we're doing. We're not new kids in the block. We've got experience, we've got maturity, and we've got policies to match. And we're going to take Indie Ref 2 into the Parliament to facilitate a second referendum by 2018. A referendum, let's remember, that we're going to start off with a base of 45%. In the middle of 2013, support for independence in Scotland was sitting at the mid to high 20s. By September of 2014, it had risen to 45%. Brothers and sisters, we are absolutely confident in Solidarity that with a base of 45% in 2018, we will secure 60 to 65% support for independence. For those who say wait, for those who say it's too soon, we say no. We say even 2018 is too far away, because the victims of Tory austerity are those that are using the food banks, those that have been sanctioned by the Dole Office, those that are insecure in their employment, those who have been paid wages that are so low that they have to rely on state benefits to survive. They can't wait any longer. They can't wait. We want to break Westminster. We believe the mandate for Indie Ref 2 is writ large in the general election result of last year, when the unionist parties together were reduced to the three amigos, or more appropriately, the three stooges, as far as electoral representation in Westminster is concerned. That's the mandate that we require. That, and the fact that this Holyrood election next year will see over 50% of the votes cast for pro-independence parties. That's the reality, brothers. And we in Solidarity, we want Indie Ref 2 in 2018 so that we can negotiate all of the disengagement required from Westminster, so that we can get our share of the UK PLC assets, which will run into hundreds of billions of pounds, secure by the 6th of April 2020. So that on the 6th of April 2020, we can declare the new independent Scotland, 700 years to the day from the Declaration of Arbroath of 1320. And we see that independence let's be clear about it, not as the end of our journey, but as only the start of our journey. The start of our journey to transform this country from a nation that is riven with poverty and inequality, riven with unequal land ownership, a nation where low wages are endemic. We see independence as the start of the journey to transform our nation from a nation of inequality to a nation of wealth redistribution, fairness of opportunity, fairness of income. We believe every single child in Scotland has inherent talent, has the inherent ability to make something of their lives if they're only given the equal opportunity that the middle classes and the ruling classes' children get. Brothers and sisters, we're not just standing for Indy Rev 2. I'm not going to go into every one of the 8 commitments that were within this manifesto. But the second part of the manifesto is for the defiance of austerity. We in Solidarity took a political decision last year, a decision that had some overheads, a decision that led to some criticism from the left. Our decision last year was not to stand in the general election, but to stand aside and call for the people of Scotland to lend their vote to the SNP as the anti-austerity, anti-nuclear weapon and pro-independence choice. We think that was the right thing to do because we think the cause is bigger than the party. The cause is bigger than the party. We therefore say to the SNP now, we supported you, campaigned for you, voted for you on an anti-austerity ticket. Brothers and sisters, words of opposition are no longer enough. Tens of thousands of jobs, essential services from Meals on Wheels to home helps, to tuition lessons, music tuition lessons for the Waynes, they're all under threat. We want to be elected to the Scottish Parliament to convene a council of war. A council of war that unites the 32 local authorities, that unites the local authority trade unions, the community groups all across Scotland, the senior citizens groups, the disabled groups, unites us in a war against Tory austerity. They have no mandate whatsoever to impose their austerity in Scotland. We say defiance, not compliance with these austerity cuts. And we also say in this manifesto, in relation to that horrible legacy, that horrible New Labour, Blair, Brown legacy here in Scotland. Yes, they've got a horrible legacy of the Iraq War. Yes, they've got a horrible legacy of tuition fees. But let's not let them off the hook with a legacy of the private finance initiative. We are saying loud and clear in this manifesto that PFI is criminal in all but name. We are saying to every local authority, to the Holyrood Parliament, these robbers, these parasites have taken too much already. Not another single penny should be paid to the PFI robbers. Not a single penny. And when you're looking for funds to invest and create jobs and build homes, there is a pot of money amounting to an excess of £30,000 million that's been set aside to pay these robbers. As we say in our manifesto, at least Dick Turpin had the decency to wear a mask. These robbers just wore pinstripe suits and conned us out of billions. It's time to make a stand and say, we will not pay another penny. Not while the city of Glasgow has got a bill for the next 15 years of £783.7 million, but it's just announced a budget of £133 million more cuts. Do they really think we're going to stand by and allow another £133 million cuts and then to pay almost £800 million to these robbers? Not at all. Brothers and sisters, there are plenty of other very visionary and radical items within this manifesto. In relation to education, in relation to health, in relation to issues like drugs and drug control, some members of the press may wish to draw attention to our position as far as illegal drugs is concerned. We believe cannabis should be legalised, licensed, regulated and taxed. We believe it is wrong to continue to criminalise someone for smoking a joint. It is a victimless crime. And we are saying loud and clear, regardless of the hyenas in the moral right brigade who may wish to have a go, we are doing what we think is right. Not just for medicinal purposes, which are very, very important, but because it's wrong to continue to criminalise a section of our community for a victimless crime. Brothers and sisters, there's plenty of other issues that we highlight here, but I want to wind up my remarks on our manifesto by highlighting the fact that we have in Scotland 4 individuals whose combined wealth is in excess to 20% of Scotland's population. 4 individuals whose combined wealth is greater than 1 million people. That's a crime. But a bigger crime is that that is the situation that pertained in 1999 and hasn't changed during 4 terms of the Scottish Parliament. 4 terms of the Scottish Parliament, and we are as unequal as a nation today as we were in 1999. That is a statistic. That is a statistic of failure. Failure to address inequality and poverty. We in Solidarity are determined to address inequality and poverty. We are determined to have a sense of urgency, but also a sense of perspective and a sense of history. It would be wrong at an event like today not to recognise that we as a Socialist Party stand on the shoulders of giants. Tomorrow, 29th of April, will mark the day 100 years ago when the Irish rebels, led by the Scottish socialist James Connolly, made a stance against the British occupation of their land. They were forced to surrender. But as Kevin's song made clear, they lit a flame which later led to the liberation of most of their country. We stand on the shoulders of the likes of James Connolly. We stand on the shoulders of the great John Maclean, the Red Clydesider, the socialist, who was an internationalist to his core, but who believed 100% in a Scottish workers' republic. That, brothers and sisters, that's the tradition that Solidarity stands on and fights on, and it's on that basis that we ask the people of Scotland to give us your second vote to elect socialist fighters to go into the Holyrood Parliament and fight for an independent socialist Scotland. Thanks very much.
Thanks so much. Yes.
I'll field any questions from the press. Magnus?
Tommy, thank you. Magnus Garden from the Herald. I've got a couple of questions, if I may. Firstly, you talked about sitting out the last general election and urging your supporters to support the SNP on the grounds that it was anti-austerity. Are you not disappointed that in this election the SNP are proposing tax cuts for higher rate taxpayers, albeit slightly smaller tax cuts than the Conservatives? And my second question is about independence. Looking at the SNP strategy, it seems clear that Nicola Sturgeon isn't confident that a second independence referendum could be won in the next few years. What makes you so much more confident that it could be won?
On the first point, Magnus, we are disappointed as a party that the SNP has in the last 12 months not opposed austerity in the manner that we believed their general election mantra led us to believe they would. We met last year as a party and adopted a policy of first vote SNP, second vote Solidarity for the May Holyrood election. We then met in February of this year and amended our position. Our position is now first vote independence, second vote solidarity. And the reason we amended is because in cities like Dundee, for instance, the SNP has the opportunity to defy austerity. Instead of defying austerity, unfortunately, they're complying with austerity. We think they need a wee bit of backbone. And we're going to supply that backbone by being elected to the Holyrood Parliament. On the second issue in relation to independence and confidence, we are absolutely, supremely confident that the people of Scotland now realise they were lied to, bullied, conned. The same week that we have the fiasco over shipbuilding jobs that we were told would be safe if people voted no. The Royal Bank of Scotland jobs that were going to be safe if people voted no. Asda and B&Q were going to leave Scotland if people voted yes. People now realise that the British establishment used everything in its power to lie and bully the ordinary people of Scotland, and it had an effect particularly among the pensioner community, who had people phoning them up and telling them if you vote yes you're going to lose your pension. Despicable lies from the unionist parties. Those unionist parties deserve to be punished at this election for the lies that they've told. We will win in 2018.
Katrine Bussey from the Press Association. You just talked there about the independence referendum and the lies you believe people were told. Do you believe the UK government is doing the same in the run-up to the European referendum in June? And what impact do you think it would have on Scottish independence if the UK voted to leave Europe but Scotland voted to stay in?
Sorry, what was your
Katrine.
Katrine, the European referendum that is shaping up shows clearly that the unionists in Westminster learned how effective Project Fear was in relation to the Scottish referendum. Instead of rational, sensible debate about being in or out of Europe, they have instead chosen to adopt the tactics of Project Fear, that the world will collapse, that Britain will no longer exist if withdrawal from the European Union takes place. Now that is patent nonsense. There is a very cogent and very formidable case, socialist, trade union case, for withdrawing from an undemocratic and anti-socialist European Union. We in Solidarity, we reject the right-wing reactionary arguments. We are for immigration. We welcome refugees. We want a people's Europe, a social Europe, a Europe of human solidarity between and within borders. But the European Union is a tool of big business that tramples on the rights of ordinary men and women in work. It is used to introduce TTIP secretly to open up the health and education markets across Europe. We are fundamentally opposed to it and believe that Scotland should vote to withdraw from the European Union. During the referendum campaign, Solidarity had three differences with what the SNP were promoting in the Yes paper. One of those differences was Europe. Another difference was they wanted a slimmed down monarchy. We rejected the idea of putting them on a diet at all. We just want them abolished. And we also reject the idea that we are not big enough and smart enough to have our own currency. That's what we want, our own currency. We don't want the Bank of England to have anything to do with an independent Scotland. So there are some people who may use a vote in England to withdraw from Europe and a vote in Scotland to stay in Europe as what they've called it, a trigger for a new referendum. I think intellectually that contradicts the idea that the Scottish people should decide when the next referendum is. Because our next referendum should be triggered by us, not about how English people vote in a Euro referendum. Anybody else from this?
I'm Jamie from BuzzFeed. Can I ask why you've chosen the anniversary of the Declaration of Arbroath for Independence Day? So what's the significance of that day? And do you think that Rob the Bruce would have given you his second vote?
Well, I didn't know Robert personally. But I think as he grew, Robert the Bruce became more tactically aware of how to secure Scotland's independence. And I would appeal to those within the Yes family, the wider Yes family, to consider the tactics of this election. This is not an election with one vote, this is an election with two votes. It was right last year to concentrate all votes for the SNP to maximise the independence vote. This time around, giving both votes to the SNP actually helps the unionist parties. Our appeal to the Yes family is don't help the unionist parties. Help a pro-independence party. Help Solidarity get our radical voice in that parliament. Fundamentally, in relation to the 2020 date, Jamie, our argument is that 2018, to win the referendum, gives us that 2-year period, that 2-year breathing space to tie up all the loose ends. So if we're going to have it in 2020, why not select a date of historical significance, the Declaration?
Just a quick one. How do you rate your chances? It's quite a crowded field, the second vote. There's Rise there are the Greens who are making similar points to yourself. What do you think your chances are, Tony?
Magnus, I think across Scotland we need to convince 6 out of every 100 voters to give us their second vote. 6 out of 100. We hold regular street stalls, we do regular leafleting, and I've got to say the response is usually more than 6 out of 100 saying they're going to give us a support. If you look at social media and the support that's generated on both our political pages and on my personal pages, then quite clearly we are looking at more than 6%. So I think we have a reasonable chance of scoring victories in each of the 8 regions, maybe some more stronger than others. I represented Glasgow for 8 years in the Scottish Parliament. I managed to introduce 5 separate private members' bills, more than any other MSP. I managed to introduce the first ever private members' bill in the new Scottish Parliament in relation to abolition of pins and warrant sales. So I think people, when they're looking at a crowded field, they're looking at an example of going into a restaurant and getting handed a menu, and on that menu there may be a lot of foods that they like, and they think, oh God, they're all nice, but what one's going to be the best for me? And on that basis, I think people will opt for solidarity on the basis, not that we've got a monopoly on wisdom, we don't. Not that we've got a monopoly on talent, we don't. But that we've got the combination of experience, of passion, of commitment, which means that we won't let anyone down who gives us their second vote.
You're arguably the best known face of solidarity. You just said you spent 8 years in the Scottish Parliament. Has the party made a mistake then by not putting your name on the list? I'm looking at your posters here, it says solidarity, but there's no mention of Tommy Sheridan. Other parties have done that, you know, Nicola Sturgeon, Ruth Davidson. Have solidarity missed a trick there?
Katrina, I think you're wrong, but I'll stand corrected if you're not. As far as I'm aware, the other parties have done exactly what we have done. In fact, I would make the point that a number of years ago, I used to get criticised for doing exactly what they've all done. They say imitation's the greatest form of flattery, so there you go. Because our description, our party description, is Tommy Sheridan, Indy, Ref 2. And that is in the box that is on the ballot paper. And I believe that that's the same with the other parties. In other words, they have SNP, then the bit about Nicola, Tories, then the bit about Ruth, the same way that we've got. Now,
I was just looking at your posters there and can't see it on the other posters, so I could well be wrong.
an innocent mistake, no problem.
Happy to accept.
Any other questions, folks? Okay. Can I thank you all for turning up, and I look forward to wonderful, positive reporting from each of you. Thank you very much.